might be a little late.
All right, so we're talking about some like kind of intermediate and advanced Git stuff. We've talked about how we store diffs, not different versions of files, only how files have changed over time, and we store those as instructions. Each commit is a set of changed lines of code. That's a repo. We talked about how this is different than centralized version control, which was where we'd have one computer that has all of the code, and then individual people would check out specific files from that only they could work on until they checked them back in. A lot of risk on that, super inconvenient, like very brittle. If this computer breaks, everybody's fucked. We talk about how Git is different. Everybody has a complete copy of the entire history of this code, and that is stored as successive sets of instructions on how to build and unbuild code to get it in a particular state. Questions about any of that so far?
I do have a quick question. So, like branches, for example, is a branch an example of another type of diff, or is it a separate thing?
Correct.
Okay.
So starting at this point in the diff history, well, now we're keeping track of two different directions that it went. In one branch, these diffs were added. In this other branch, these diffs were added. And when those get merged, they try to do all of the ones from the first one and then play all the ones from the second one on top of it. If it can't do that, that's a merge conflict.
Whoa. I gotta hear that. The last part of that sentence again.
So right here, at this point in time, this branch and this branch were the same.
Mm-hmm.
So then Git is keeping track of, all right, on this branch, I made this change, and then this change, and then this change. On this branch, I made this change, and this change, and this change, and this change, and this change. So when I try to merge these again, Git goes, all right, I'm going to try to do these ones first, since that's the branch that I'm on. And then I'm going to try to apply this change, then this change, then this change, then this change, then this change on top of all of that. If for whatever reason it's not able to do that, like I changed a line here that was deleted over here, it goes, conflict. I don't know how to handle that. You tell me.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
And here we can recreate it. So I make a new branch here. And in this one, I go into some file and so this one's going to be a little bit more professional. So I make a commit there. Oops. Oh, I have to stage it first. Cool. So now at this point in time, I've had my first commit and my second commit, and now I've branched off in this direction and I've made another commit. So now I'm going to go back to the first branch and I'm going to make a conflicting commit.
I like the music just got tense.
And now it's going to be even more broier. And so I stage that commit. Cool. So now I have a conflicting commit over here. Now what I want to do is try to merge this into this with a new commit. Sometimes I can figure this out and it makes the point more confusing, but if I'm on master and I do git merge, and then I pick the branch, which was called second branch, merge conflict. That doesn't know which one of those that I want to keep. So if I open up that file, like this terrifies students, probably terrified you the first time you saw it too.
Just looks so angry with the carrots yelling at you.
I know. Look, it's got both versions.
And you just,
This is what you have now. That's where your head is at. This was the stuff from the branch that you were talking about. So those little like arrows, they're labels. Like this is the thing that this came from. And then they're separated by the equals. All you need to do is make it look however you want it to look and get rid of all the other noise.
cool.
So I can go, nope, I want that. I want that. How about maybe it just looks like that? And then the rest of it, it told you exactly what you needed. Fix the conflicts and then commit the result. So now I stage that file. And now we're back in business.
Okay.
That's how conflicts happen. That's a way to resolve them.
And then you're storing the instructions for how to resolve that conflict as well.
Bingo. Like that commit that I just made is the resolution for that conflict.
Gotcha.
So when you did the git merge second branch and that whole window came up where you had access to that stuff, that was some Vim plugin, right? That did that? Or that was Git that opened up?
No, like Git changed the file. Like those characters aren't like pretend in the file. They're actually in the file.
So when it goes into that file, changes that file, where
it puts both versions of it in there.
Oh, so it adds it to, so wait, so just to clarify, like you were here and you did the merge, and then when you typed in git merge this branch with this branch, it added it into the file?
I see where the confusion is now. This didn't exist. Where we were was here. I have this change, and boy, are they not going to agree. So when I tried to do that merge and make that commit, that's when it exploded and goes, hey, I can't actually make the commit here. What do you want these files to look like? Here's everything from both versions of it. Just make it look however you actually want it to look, and we'll call it good. And then when you do that, that's when it makes the commit. You can also go, when that happens, go, oh, this is too rich for my blood, man. Get me out of here. And just abort it, and it stops trying to attempt to merge them.
So I just want to clarify, when you opened a file, the file that you opened that had all the carrots in it was this file, or that you opened that file on that branch?
It's the same file in both of the branches. That's the problem.
Okay. And so then if you open it on either branch, it's going to open up to that window where you have access to the carrots, unless you do like git abort or whatever the command is.
If I was trying to merge master into the second branch, it would be the same thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it's the direction of it, right? Like you're trying to do a git merge from the second branch into the master branch. And so the master
the branch that you're in. When you git merge, you're saying merge into me.
Yeah.
Which is the head.
Yeah, where you are right now is the head, whatever branch that it is.
My other question in regards to that, not to be a question hog, but was like, let's say you didn't make, oh crap, Doomy just moved my hand. Sorry. Let's say that you never made this commit, and instead you just typed in git merge from here after already making this branch. Is there anything?
There's nothing to conflict.
What? There'd still be a conflict, right?
No, there's nothing to conflict.
Why is that? Because okay, so that's the other thing that I was. Oh, because it's storing diffs, and that makes sense.
And it can apply that diff without any ambiguity.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, that just tied that together for me.
Nice.
Thank you.
That's a fair question. That's actually a good visualization for me too. Is like, hey, these two diffs are supposed to happen to the same line, and it goes, I can't do that because which one should I apply?
Exactly.
That was great.
So, all right, one more trick I want to show you that we generally don't teach the students, ergo you probably don't know it, but is one of the most like useful moment-to-moment things you can do with Git is first of all, how do I check out another commit? That's another we kind of don't teach that much.
Just git checkout and then the hash name, which there's a command for like listing the hashes, right? I just can't remember it. It's like git.
Well, let's get log.
Git log.
But and you don't need to be the whole hash, just
The first like four
characters of it, I think. So if I want to go back to 13A7, I can do get checkout 13A7. Awesome. And now that's where the head is. I didn't get rid of anything though. And so that's why it's like, yo, you are in a detached head right now. You're not actually working on real code. You can see what something was like at that point in time though, pretty easily. And we go, all right, never mind. I want to go back to master. Well, then you get checkout, then you're back. That's it. So that's how you can move back and forth on a timeline.
Wait, so you're saying you just went back to a commit that already was merged? So
Correct.
Because it was merged, you just can't do shit with it. Gotcha. Okay.
But you can, but it like won't necessarily be saved.
Unless you tell it to, like with that -c command or something.
Exactly. They're giving you in very plain language, like the things that you can do if you make a change that you do want to keep.
Gotcha.
So if you do a git switch, does that open a new branch up that is a copy of that old branch?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can merge that back into master.
So what I'm curious about, because I've tried to do this before, is you can like git checkout -b or make a new branch with that hash. And then it'll say, cool, I'll make you a new branch at this hash.
Yes.
But let's say I wanted to bring my master back to that. You have to revert it. You can't be like, all right, now take this branch and merge it into the main branch.
That's what I'm about to show you. This is like
nice.
one of the coolest, like just bread and butter tricks you can do with Vim or with Git is, all right, I'm gonna make another file. All right, so I have these two files here. And I'm gonna commit, adding second file, add. Okay, so I have this second file now. All right, well, I still have my other branches. So if I go over to second branch, I don't have the second file, right? But like, here's a perfect example of like, well, maybe I want the second file is we have a solutions branch, right? But we changed the README in the main branch. All right, well, you also want that change to be like in your current README, right? Watch this. I can do git checkout master, wait for it, second file. Now I have that file in this branch too. You can check out individual files from commits.
Oh, cool.
They don't have to be new files either. You can go, I want all the changes from the README. So it's git checkout, the name of the branch you want to pull from, and then the name of the files. You can do more than one that you want to grab that version of.
I'm assuming you could also just put dot and it would just bring them all.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see. If I do git checkout second branch, that's going to reset me back to whatever I had before. Oops. I can just get rid of second file.
What would be the difference between? Wait, I'm confused on the check. I'm very confused right now.
Kind of a little bit too.
That's interesting. Is it counting your addition and your deletion as two separate changes, two diffs?
It might be. Whatever, fuck it. Deleting second file that I brought in.
Oh, is that because your second branch is already merged? So when you checked out,
it doesn't really think about it like that so much. Okay. Well, now I forgot what I was going to do. Anyway, like, oh, so if I had some other files that I want to have in here, third file, fourth file, and I commit those. Okay, so I do that. I go back to master. If I want both of those files that I just added from second branch, but I don't necessarily want to do like a merge commit, I just want to grab those files. Let's see if I can do that, Ahmed. If I do git checkout second branch dot. There you go. But
Nice.
look how they're not actually committed yet.
Mhm.
I just brought the files in. I can still edit those. I can delete them. I can do whatever I need to do. I just checked them out.
So does that only work if there's a file in like an old commit that like does not exist on your new one?
Nope.
Or
in
what does
fact,
it
it
do?
said that this one changed. That one's new. That one's new. That's what the A and M mean. Added, modified.
Okay, so then the modified version then is the modified version is the older version then. So
It's whatever you're trying to merge in.
Gotcha. Okay, and you can get merge conflicts from doing that, I'm guessing.
Yep.
It's not like it's just going
You
to
most
overwrite.
certainly can.
It's not like it's just going to overwrite what you're doing.
Right, but it didn't try to automatically make the commit for me. It just gave
Okay.
me the file.
So are all of those files staged already?
No. Oh, shoot, maybe they were. Oh, that would be why the that happened on the other branch too, is that when I checked it out, it also staged it. That makes
What
sense.
is your git s configured to? Just so I can.
Git status.
Okay, sorry. Cool.
Yeah, it does say changes to be committed.
Yep, so it has staged them.
Interesting.
Oh, but that's configurable. That doesn't feel like a thing that, it's not an essential part of Git. You could make it not do that too.
Interesting.
All right, well, one more idea that I'll leave you with that's kind of on the same thing with different commits. So we've talked about checkout. There's also revert and reset.
Mhm.
These are like 3 different ways that we can work with files from different commits. Checkout is give me that file, give me that branch, like that sort of thing. Revert is I want to take this previous commit and I want you to construct a series of diffs that would get me back to that and make a new commit.
Gotcha. Is that kind of like a migration, like an up versus a down?
Sort of, yeah. But if I have a branch and actually, I don't need branches for this. Okay, so I make these 2 commits here. The head is currently here, and I want to go back to this, but I want to be able to go back to this still in the future. You can revert to that previous commit. But this like kind of in-between state is still in your history. You still have that commit. You can still check it out. You can check out files from it. You can roll back to that. You could revert back to that if you wanted to. That's reverting.
Wait, but do all those diffs from that in-between state carry over to the new state?
Yes, they do. Because the files were this, and then they diffed to this, and then they diffed to this. And then the reversion process is taking the steps that you would need to do to go backwards to this, like undoing those diffs, and just making those a new forward commit.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is like you could totally, there's not going to be any merge conflicts anytime you revert to an old file because it's kind of like a migrate undo or something like that. Like,
something like that.
Keep those migration files there, and then you also keep the thing that undoes those migration files.
Yeah,
but
that's it. Having a migration that undoes something a previous migration does, but you still have all the migrations in there. That's what this is.
Cool. Okay.
Is that the difference between a hard and a soft revert, by the way? Is hard just actually takes you back one?
You're thinking, well, maybe they have this with versions. No, I mostly see hard and soft with resets, but
Gotcha.
you probably could do hard and soft reverts also. Anyway, the difference would be, all right, head is here, and I want to go back to this.
Mhm.
If I just pretend like this never happened, that's a reset. I've changed history. I can't get back to this even if I wanted to. The difference between hard and soft is whether or not it keeps the whether or not it just does it and then makes a commit, or gets rid of those things and is waiting for you to stage and commit them.
Gotcha.
So soft is, all right, here is the new state of this. Would you like to commit that? But you could still like modify them. You can, you're still in the process of making the commit.
Gotcha.
Hard is, nope, fuck it, burn it all. And so like where we see that the most often is, all right, so I have these changes now. That whatever change, fuck that, man. I don't want that. I want to go back to what this commit was. I'm just going to blow it out. So that's E6BF git reset -- hard. I can either do E6BF like that, and now I don't have that whatever commit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get it back either. That's like permanently gone.
Right.
A more common way to probably do that same thing is like, I want to get rid of my last commit. So I'm going to git reset hard. Wherever I am now, -1.
Mm-hmm.
That does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Wait, I got to record that one. I have questions. I have a lot of questions. Well, so.
And then if I did those like soft, like that. So now I have unstaged changes. That's the state that the thing was in, but it's still waiting for me to actually do the commit.
Gotcha. But you can take it to the same place that a hard reset would do.
Correct. So yeah, if I commit this now, I've done the same thing.
So the hard soft is only a reset thing. It's not a revert thing.
It might be. I've never done a soft revert, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was a similar mechanism there.
But a reset in general pushes, like it's like cutting off a branch on the tree. It's
Correct.
like cutting off the tip of a branch on a tree.
You are changing history. That never happened.
Okay.
Revert is, I wish that hadn't happened, but I might want to go back to it someday. And so also when you're working with other people and we're trying to synchronize these things over GitHub and you hard blow out a branch or something like that, or a commit, somebody else, when they're pulling in your changes, that's going to completely break their repo. Which is why there are people who say never do hard resets, always do reverts, because that's not going to cause the same kind of conflict that this is. Because when you make your history changing thing, you push it up to GitHub, GitHub is going to go, nope, 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 nope. This isn't even the same repo. You're missing stuff. You need to pull in my new changes. Mm-hmm. And so then you force push it up anyway. And now when somebody else tries to pull it down, their computer is going to go, this isn't the same repo, man. Like, I can't apply these diffs because I can't even tell if these are the same project anymore.
Would a strong use case for a reset be something like, oh shit, I accidentally just pushed up?
A strong case for a reset would be, oh shit, I made a mistake, but I haven't pushed it up. So there's no risk that anybody else has this version.
So use a reset when, oh shit.
Or same thing with squashing. So like it's another common thing. So if I have, do I still have commits? All right, if I want to squash those last two commits in there to something else, or something like that. Come on, man. All right, so I have these 4 commits in here. Let's say those last 2, I want to squash them. I can do git rebase interactive head -2. Give me the last 2 commits. And then I can say, I would like to fix this up into this. And what that's going to do is make these 1 commit and get rid of that. So like in the new version, there's only going to be 3 commits, but it'll be all the changes that I've done. And it's going to use this one's commit message. So I do that. I have squashed the commit.
Whoa, can you show that on the drawing as well?
That is, here's where you see this all the time. You're working on an open source project. So it's here, you fork it. You're working on this branch over here. And like a good developer, you're just making automatic commits every 5 minutes, keeping this really fine-grained thing. Awesome, you have the new feature built. It's time to merge it in. So if you do this with just a regular merge, all of these commits become part of the main branch history. The open source maintainer is going to go, yo, I don't need all your intermediate steps, man. We can just kind of consider this all one thing. Go back and squash your commits. And so you squash all of these into 1 commit and then merge that in.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's rebasing.
Wait, so you're squashing backwards though. Is there a way to take the last commit message and then put it up at the front instead of the
Oh yeah, so like you have all those options in there. I even have a shortcut for it. These are all the different things that you can do.
Gotcha. Yeah, because chances are I'd probably want all those commit messages. Like I'd want 1 head 1 and take all those commit messages and put them in the body or something like
and so like that's squash.
Gotcha.
Cool.
So is rebasing inclusive of all of these different things, or is it the squash and merge that you're doing?
Rebasing is actually like a ton of different things.
Okay.
But this is bread and butter. This is a thing that like, as a growing professional developer, it's probably about time that you know how to do a squash. There are other things you can do with rebases that nobody ever needs to know.
Is there anything else that we should probably know about at the very least from rebase?
No. Oh, then it's also history changing, so that if you've pushed this up and somebody else has that, as soon as you rebase something, everybody else's history gets all fucked up.
Okay.
And can they just pull down from the master to fix their history?
Like they will need to force override their local, which is dangerous.
Gotcha. So it does cause some issues for other people.
Yeah, like realistically, what you do is just delete your shit and reclone it.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that force command is like one of my least favorites because you're like, oh shit, if anything goes wrong, I'm fucked.
Oh yeah, like if you had a commit that, if you were missing something and you force it, that's just gone.
Mm-hmm. Is a really good way to handle forces to like make another branch and then force on that branch. That way, if you fuck anything up, you still have the other branches.
You won't have to force it because it's new. But if it's going to eventually make it back in there, it's going to have to get forced sooner or later.
Gotcha.
Because remember, it's not the files. It didn't make copies of the files. It's the instructions for the diff. Those are always going to be like incompatible.
Gotcha. So that would be like, I like that use case because you're saying, hey, before you merge this to master, squash it and then merge it in. Yep. And that way it doesn't conflict with anyone else.
Well, because you want your Git history to read as like a set of features.
Mm-hmm.
This feature was added, this feature was added, this, oh, adding this feature actually broke shit. Revert it back. Mm-hmm. And you want to consider all of those together. You don't need, like, okay, here is another way to think of it. You don't need every auto save. Like, you have your big saves from like level to level. All the auto saves in between, like whatever, fucking overwrite them. And it's nice to have them while you're working on that feature, as you go, oh shit, that one from 3 hours ago, that actually was like pretty good. I want to pull one file out of that version of it.
Gotcha.
But once you're done and the tests are passing and like you're ready to go, all of those little micro steps don't need to be preserved for history or anything.
Gotcha. So you can just squash them and say, this is the culmination of that work.
Bingo. This is all of those diffs, like, and then whatever the final diff between those two things was.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds more professional. I guess in my mind, I'm like, I want to see all the times that I fucked up to get to where I was going. So that way I'm like, how did I make that work again?
And then you might, the rest of your team doesn't.
Right. So I can store that in my own branch somewhere.
Totally.
That lesson was awesome. I
Awesome,
don't know.
I'm glad.
I don't know if it's done yet, but I just
That's
assumed
done.
timing wise, probably around. But that was awesome.